A couple of years ago, Ford Australia dropped a bit of a mini bombshell when it said it wouldn't import the next generation Fiesta city car. Crucially, however, it did make an exception for one particular variant, the ST hot hatch. But is the blue oval's fastest Fiesta the best pint-sized performance car you can buy for just over $30,000? To find out, we're pitching it against its most natural price rival, the Volkswagen Polo GTI. In this battle of the pocket rockets, we'll take a look inside the cabins, tell you what features you get for your money, and of course, most importantly, find out how big a smile they put on your face. And towards the end of the video, we'll reveal how fast these cars went in our performance testing. In the meantime, why not have a guess at A, which of these cars got closest to its claimed 0 to 100 time, and B, which one was actually fastest. Right, let's start inside the slightly older car, the Polo GTI that came out in 2018. And I do like this big thick chunk of red metallic trim you get right across the dash and onto the doors here. Just makes the cabin look a little bit sportier and more interesting than your regular Polo. That is a bit conservative. In fact, this is probably about as expensive looking as interiors get in the city car class. However, there's a lot of optional stuff in this particular test car. So these sports seats, partial leather and fabric, very nice and very comfortable. They're part of an optional luxury pack. And also, I kind of feel that a GTI doesn't really look like a GTI inside unless it's got the tartan cloth seats, but maybe that's just me. Digital driver display looks very smart, very advanced, and that's a box I would tick, but it is an option. The 8-inch touchscreen, that is standard, but this version is upgraded with factory navigation, wireless smartphone charging, and a 300-watt Beats audio system, which does sound brilliant. But all up, this test car costs a bit over $39,000, and not so long ago, you could get a Golf GTI for that money. The last Fiesta ST was priced from just $25,990, which was quite a ridiculous bargain. The new ST is a fair bit more expensive at $31,990, but because there's only one spec, it's the top one with pretty much everything. That includes a pair of rear doors for the first time in Australia. And the list of standard features over the Polo GTI is long. Key items include 18-inch alloy wheels rather than 17s. Train spotters will know our GTI test car is wearing optional 18-inch wheels. Recaro leather and suede sports seats, a Quaife mechanical limited slip differential, and sticky Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres. There's also a branded audio system by Bang & Olufsen, factory navigation, and the front seats and steering wheel have a heating function. I can't compare the ST to the rest of the Fiesta range because in Australia there is no rest of the range. But we can compare it with the previous model, and in that respect, cabin quality has definitely gone up. Now, there is some hard plastic still in some obvious places such as the doors, but there's also plenty of soft touch materials in other key areas. And unlike the Polo GTI, what you see in this cabin is what you get. Manual. Now, that's also different to the GTI. That's a DSG Auto. So you can't get an auto as an option on the Fiesta, but hey, this is a hot hatch. Driving position, it's lower than the GTIs, and I like that because it makes it feel more naturally sportier. This steering wheel, very chubby. It's like Ford has taken a leaf out of the BMW M Division's book for thick rims. And these Recaro seats, partial leather and suede style. Some serious bolstering here on the sides and on the cushion, and well, that's really intimate. Body hugging, and you've got to say, if you're an owner, you wouldn't want to be a regular at Macca's. There may be just a single millimetre separating the lengths of our two protagonists, but the Polo's longer wheelbase delivers a backseat advantage through extra knee space. Boot space falls in the Fiesta's favour, though only by 6 litres according to quoted capacities. The Fiesta's boot is deeper, the Polo's boot is longer. Both rear seat backs collapse in a 60-40 split to create extra cargo space. But enough of that, what you really want to know is how these two hot hatches drive. Under the Polo GTI's bonnet is the VW Group's ubiquitous EA888 4-cylinder turbo, an engine we know very well and that we've always liked in its various forms, and in this Polo GTI we've got 147 kilowatts. Now that's the same power output that you got in the Mark V Golf GTI just over a decade ago. Now the Polo, yes, it's a bit bigger these days, but it's still only a bit over 4 metres long, so you've still got a decent power output and a smallish car, a combo that gives you some very nice strong acceleration. Could be a little bit more vocal, even if we'll downshift here, lift off the throttle. Yeah, it sounds alright, but it could definitely be a little more exciting. It's also a shame that Volkswagen doesn't offer this car with a manual gearbox. Aside from the fact that it would make this car a little bit cheaper by about $2.5 grand, Volkswagen makes nice manual gearboxes. With the DSG gearbox, yeah, it's still got its quirks around town. It's not ideal at low speeds, but in a hot hatch context, when you're getting up it, it's a really great gearbox. Now you can use the paddles that come standard on this car, or well, you can just leave it in sport mode and let the transmission make all the gear changes, and it does a pretty effective job of that even on twisty roads. So the GTI steering is on the light side. There's certainly not a great deal of feel, but it's accurate, and the GTI's handling is quite neutral actually. Its biggest issue is tight corners, so we're in third gear, coming down to second, under hard braking, into the hairpin, floor the throttle. So the GTI only has a brake bias torque vectoring system, essentially the ESC system nipping the brake of the inside front wheel to try and help traction, but it just doesn't work very well in the Polo GTI. The GTI is just missing a bit of that dynamic magic you get from the very best hot hatches. Where the previous Fiesta ST had a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder turbo, the new ST gets a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo. I wasn't sure what to make of that because I've got a 3-pot in my little Volkswagen Up micro car. But in a hot hatch, well, I'll tell you what, you start getting stuck into this car and you don't mind at all. You grow to really like this engine. It sounds really sporty, it loves to rev, and particularly responsive above 3,000 RPM. Oh, look at that. Not sure if you can hear that because it's a little bit muted, but there are some pops and crackles from the exhaust. It'd be nice if they were a bit more emphasised, so it was a bit more like WRC Fiesta, but it's still a good sound. As I said, it's only a 6-speed manual available with the engine, but this is a hot hatch, who cares? And it's a delightful gearbox, very, very slightly notchy in its action, but it's precise from gate to gate, and the clutch pedal is perfectly weighted. This is such a nice gearbox to use, really addictive. Steering is a lot meatier than the Polo GTI, so that's just one of the first things that make this feel a lot more of a hardcore hot hatch than the Polo GTI. The handling is just so agile and responsive, and because you're that much closer to the dash and you've got these body hugging Recaro seats, it just feels like the whole car is pivoting around you as you go through these twisty corners. Oh, it's just so good. The Fiesta ST's combination of a mechanical limited slip diff and brake torque vectoring also gives it brilliant drive out of hairpins. Yet while the Fiesta ST certainly feels like the only hot hatch of our duo that would go well on a track, the Polo GTI fights back for the more mundane side of motoring. While both cars are impressively quiet on the freeway, the Polo's longer gearing means the engine isn't working as hard at 110 km an hour, while the GTI's broader seats are more comfortable for longer drives, and unlike the ST, it offers adaptive cruise control as part of an option pack. The GTI's firm suspension is also relatively relaxing in its comfort setting, compared with the even stiffer ST that doesn't come with adjustable damping. The Ford's turning circle also isn't great. We said earlier we would reveal how quick these two hot hatches went in our performance testing. the Fiesta ST should be the quicker car from 0 to 100. It has a claimed time of 6.5 seconds in the standing start sprint, compared with 6.7 seconds for the Polo GTI. We couldn't match either claim, though we got closest with the Volkswagen at 6.8 seconds. And that was sufficient to beat the Ford, that was much further away from its claim, with 6.9 seconds. But which is the best pocket rocket for those with a decent amount of pocket money? Well, it's not quite straightforward as that, because there's a clear choice to be made here. The Polo GTI is the pick for those that want a slightly more spacious and sophisticated cabin to go with their muscular performance. But for hardcore driving enthusiasts who prioritise brilliant handling over everything else, there's only one car here that has any chance of getting into the Hot Hatch Hall of Fame. So, do you agree with our verdict that the Fiesta ST wins? Whether you do or not, why not give us your thoughts in the comment sections below? And if you enjoyed the video, why not subscribe to CarAdvice?